Welcome to the thrilling world of Security Squawk, where we explore cybersecurity. Guiding you through online threats, we'll aid you in understanding safety protocols and trends. Meet our gurus, Bryan from Exact IT, Reginald from Arc Solvers, and Randy from Tech Rescue. Together, we'll delve into current events and hot cybersecurity topics, helping you comprehend their impact. Stay informed, stay secure. Security Squawk, the business of cybersecurity. Buckle up, let's dive in.
Welcome back, friends and everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Security Squawk Podcast. I'm Bryan Hornung, one of your co-hosts and guides through this twisted, always evolving world of cyber threats and cybersecurity. And with me, as always, is my partner in crime, the one and only Randy Bryan. How are you doing today, sir?
Doing pretty great. How about yourself?
Doing well. Big week for you. Congratulations on what's happening in your personal life. I know you're probably on cloud nine right now.
Yeah,
you're smiling. So
lots going on.
Yeah, buddy. Good stuff. So today's episode, not just another snoozer about patch updates and password policies. Nope, we're going to dive into a real mixed bag of cyber mayhem, as I'm going to touch on Workday's breach with a side of Salesforce compromise, which seems to be, something that's been bugging companies lately, these Salesforce breaches. Ransomware gangs posting receipts like influencers, and the cold, harsh reality that 1 in 4 CISOs or tech pros get the boot after a breach. So Randy and I are going to dive into what that actually means and why the CISOs are the ones falling on the swords when companies get breached. So if these topics don't get your attention, I don't know what will. So grab some coffee, pour bourbon. We don't judge, right, Randy? Sit back.
Yeah, it is a little early in the States, but if you're watching from UK or Australia, I guess it is bourbon time.
That's right. Let's rip into it. So let's get into it. So let's kick things off here with with some breaking, SaaS drama as Workday, which is a SaaS provider in the HR and accounting space. They got nailed. And it's not a garden variety ransomware job here, Randy. There was actually no encryption. And I talk about this a lot on the show, right? This is something we help companies through tremendously lately. It's like, hey, you don't necessarily have to get ransomware to have to deal with one of these issues one day.
Yep.
It could be something else that rears its ugly head, right? So, that's kind of what we're dealing with here today. And, what happened was it was clean. It was a clean, targeted credential theft. It happens all the time. Actually, I mentioned that something like this was attempted against me a few weeks ago, and my team was able to be all over it and stop it. Quite frankly, they didn't even have the right credentials, but they tried, right? And we could see that they were trying. So the attackers in this case with Workday, they got through in a third-party system and went straight for the Salesforce data like a missile locked on its target, right? That's what these guys do. When they figure out that they're into a system, what do we have? And, boom, we got it, right? They know that they're in your Salesforce. That is a major issue, right? And that is a big problem. This is just we talked about Ingram Micro, right? A major supplier in our world, right? This is how they got hit. Randy, we talked about Dell on this show, right? This is how they got hit, right? And all these companies, what do they come out and say, Randy? They come out and say, oh, we didn't really get attacked. Somebody got into the system over here. It wasn't like they breached us or we got ransomware or anything. I mean, it doesn't really matter, folks. Because the information, whether they get it this way or that way, it's all the same, right? Here's what they pulled: names, job titles, contact information of their employees or of their customers and their employees. That's what's been confirmed so far. We don't know how bad this breach really is to this point. And this wasn't some script kiddie joyride. This was a surgical strike by a well-known cyber criminal cartel executed with precision. So, Randy, any thoughts on this one?
Well, yes. So I don't disagree with anything you said, especially the last couple of sentences. But then when you get down to it, the bad guys got the password to the Salesforce CRM for Workday, and were able to pull the data. So it's funny because it is a high level, crazy organization, and all that jazz. But then for it to come down to just a credential attack, isn't that what you were saying earlier? Yeah. So to come down just to that is actually quite ironic. And we can't understate.
Yeah, I mean, if we remember from these similar Salesforce breaches, there were two factors in both cases, and this will probably play out to be the third case, where we had credential reuse and no MFA turned on.
There were two factors, no pun intended.
Yeah. Two factors, and one of them wasn't even in place.
Yeah, one of them was there was no two-factor. Yeah, and that's a thing. We talked a lot about that in 2023 on this show, and we called 2024 the year of MFA, that everybody was going to be requiring it, and they better require it, and it's too late in life, in the history of humans, to not be requiring it. And then here we are, almost at the end of 2025, and a giant company like Salesforce is not forcing MFA on some things, and that's got to get fixed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it does. It's got to get fixed. Look, until the world embraces this layer of cybersecurity that I've been preaching for many years now, and Randy just said it, right? The requirement is have MFA on. Well, why is that a requirement? Let's talk about that, right? That's a requirement because it's a knee-jerk reaction to when insurance companies have to pay out a lot of cyber insurance claims. And the reason is because MFA is lacking. It's really not. MFA is more of a symptom of a problem, in my opinion, than the actual symptom, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or than the actual, you're reusing passwords still, right? So that means you're not using password managers, right? So I guess my point is, Randy, where is the requirement from the insurance companies to use password managers? We require them to use MFA, but we don't require companies to use password managers. So the requirement should really be, if insurance companies, and you're welcome, I'll send you my consulting fee, insurance companies. The requirement should really be password managers with a separate MFA, not integrated, because that's a thing and that's a risk, right? When the password manager and the MFA exist in the same tool, right? Segregated password manager and MFA should be a requirement that all insurance companies are putting on businesses, so you don't have to deal with these problems.
Yeah. You ought to have your passwords in one secure application, your MFA in a separate secure application, and then your codes, your recovery codes, should be in a even different secure application, or write them down and throw them in your safe or something like that. But you shouldn't store your codes in the same place either, because you could have your MFA and your password in a different place, and you have your codes over here, the same place as your MFA. That's just as bad. Yeah. Or you store your codes with your password, which is just as bad.
If you're willing to bet that your password manager won't ever get compromised, I'm not willing to take that bet. So I want them separate. You got to get into two different tools if you want to get into my accounts. Good luck. Right?
Yep.
So, and then this brings into the conversation, Randy, that I want to have. And of course, I feel that cough coming on, so I might have to hit the mute button.
I'm ready. I got some stuff.
But at the end of the day, dude, the reality of it is we sit here and we look at these situations and go, yeah, this wasn't sophisticated. This wasn't, they're not doing enough, right? I think those are probably the two things we say the most on this show. Not sophisticated, and they weren't doing enough, right? And this is what we mean. The world, the business community, and I'm talking about industries, across industries, we are accepting substandard levels of cybersecurity, and we think we're doing high levels of cybersecurity, right? Why do I say this? Right? Most people look at their cyber insurance requirements and go, okay, yeah, we're doing all these things, so we have a good cybersecurity program, right? And I'm sitting here on this show today telling everybody that you're not required by any cyber insurance that I'm aware of to use a password manager, right? And that is a layer of security that you should have in place in your company. Almost every framework, they don't come out and no cybersecurity framework will come out and say you need to use a password manager. But all the controls say you need to do things in a secure way. You need to have certain length passwords. You shouldn't, they need to be random. They can't be reused. Well, guess what? Now you need to use a password manager, right? They're not saying you have to use a password manager, but they're putting all the rules in place. So you're kind of forced to go over here, right? You can play football, football in bowling shoes, right? That wouldn't play out real well for you, right? You wear cleats, right? So at the end of the day, that's what I'm saying. Like you're going to make your own decisions and wear the right shoes.
That's true. And then also you can have some influence over how much you pay for the actual insurance based on the controls you have in place. And I know that this is kind of a bit of a tangent, but I'm going to bring it back around. Based on the controls you have in place, and you may have to shop around because there are insurance companies that are requiring more. And if you have the more, then you can get a better deal. But what started me down this road was when you said that people think I have cyber insurance, therefore I'm good. Well, you know what? You can go get any old car and you can get insurance on it. And man, there's cars that I would not put my loved ones in and let them drive down the road. You know what I mean? When my youngest started driving, I went and got a dang Volvo, which is like a little tank. You know what I mean? Because yes, I'm going to pay about the same, maybe a little less with that thing.
So I'm not crazy thinking that my kid's first car is going to be like a 72 Malibu.
Yeah, you got the boat mentality, The larger the projectile, the less chance it is of getting
pure
metal,
all metal, no plastic.
Yes. But bringing it back around, like just because you have insurance doesn't mean you're safe. Should you have insurance? Heck yes. But then you need to do your due diligence to go the extra, 9 yards or whatever it is, 20 yards or whatever, to make sure your company's actually safe. And that's a great point. There's really nobody requiring password keepers that I know of for cyber insurance.
All right, so I just want to bring it back around. Ooh, I just drilled my elbow on my shelf. I'm going to bring it back around because, obviously this is about Workday and the ease of how easy it is for these cyber criminals to break in your organization, right? And we're trying to make a point here that the world is behind. And if you're going to continue to kind of look around and say, well, we're doing enough like everybody else, or we're doing enough like our insurance requirements are, you're not doing enough, right? And you're going to end up like Workday. You're going to end up with these problems where they break into some system that you're not thinking is, really super important. Like everybody looks at Salesforce as like, oh, that's the sales system. That's what we use for marketing and sales. But you got a chock full of customer information in there that somebody could do something with, right? That you need to protect. So you have to understand, we have shifted from encryption to just pure, we're getting in, we're stealing, and we're extorting. It's psychological warfare, and the modern ransomware playbook is at play here, but they're not encrypting. And you have to understand that's where we're at. So if they can get into your system and they can exfiltrate the data somehow, some way, this is how it starts. It becomes victim blaming via leak sites, which we're going to get into next, real big, real deep. And these pressure tactics that even mature organizations will fold and fall victim to.
There's a couple things I wanted to bring in here too, Bryan.
Yeah.
as of about a week ago, there have been 91 known attacks of this exact same, basically, the scenario. Salesforce, they're using known credentials to log in. They're leaking data, and it's been hitting like huge companies. So Google was one of them. Their Salesforce got hacked the same way. Adidas, Alliance Life, Pandora, Qantas Airways, Cisco.
It makes sense, right, Randy? Do you think salespeople are like? Do you think their cyber hygiene is high?
I don't know. I don't want to assume that, but I know that a lot of times if you're wired to be a great salesperson, you're not wired to be a great tech person. So, I don't think they're going around saying, how can I hurt my company? But they're just trying to get stuff sold. You know what I mean? Meet their quotas and make their money and do their job. And, so yeah, probably not. I don't think
anybody's breaking the balls of the top sales guy to do better with cybersecurity. Just saying. I mean,
you're probably not wrong.
I consult with a lot of businesses. I see how it works out there, and you'd be surprised about how some businesses operate internally.
Right.
So, just saying. So hopefully businesses, do better at responding to this stuff, fighting back, understanding that password managers are critical at this point, but we're not seeing it adopted. And, it's one of those things where if you don't start using password managers, you're going to get hit like this one day. And I'm here to tell you right now, the days of ransomware are gone. These guys know they can make the same amount of money without deploying ransomware, and it's a hell of a lot easier to do. I'm talking like the difference between like digging a hole with a shovel and digging a hole with a huge backhoe. You know what I mean? Like that's what we're talking about. Easier here. Like they will much prefer to dig the hole with a huge backhoe than dig a hole with a shovel. And deploying ransomware is like digging a hole with a shovel. So,
you know what I want to know here?
What's up,
Bryan? I would want to know, were these Salesforce instances, were they like locally hosted at the company, or are these cloud-based that are hosted at Salesforce?
It's all cloud-based. And
wow.
Salesforce has actually had to come out and basically say, like, this ain't us, because they were starting to get a bad rap. You know what I mean? They had to come out and say, like, this ain't us. Like, these are our users not following proper security, protocols that we recommend that they have in place. Now the question becomes: should Salesforce force every user to have MFA? I think we're starting to see that, right?
Right.
I think that game of chicken needs to stop. I mean, force it. Make it when they set up their account, force them to change their password, make it a complex one, right? And you make them use MFA. The problem, what Salesforce has no control over, is whether or not you've used that password before on other sites. They're not going to be able to know that, right? And that's where the password manager comes in. And we're not relying on human beings to say they're doing this the right way.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Randy, I got the wrong article up here. Let me get the right article up. This is going to be an interesting one. Ooh, we can't really see it. I'll try to blow it up. There we go. All right. So Randy's got a juicy one that he wanted to bring to the table today. And by juicy, I mean kind of horrifying. Akira ransomware is out there acting like TMZ. So what's the latest, Randy? What's going on here? What are we about to embark in as I scroll down the screen here?
Well, so
what are we going to see?
Yeah, so I thought this would be really interesting to talk about because this is relatively new in human history. We don't know what this looks like. We've been saying it on the show for literally years that the bad guys have negotiation teams. They chat with you. They'll make a little bit of jokes, although this guy here was pretty dang serious most of the time. But their tactics come out in the chat. You can see a little bit of psychological warfare. I think on this chat, on the quote unquote good guy side, they probably had a professional negotiator, because the way that he kind of dragged it out, or she dragged it out, and was able to get the price down, was really great. It was initially the bad guy said there's no way in HE double heck we're going below 7-figure. So let's just start off with that. And then they ended up settling for about $250,000, which is still a lot of money. But a lot of negotiation back and forth that people just wouldn't realize, and just stop and take a little quiet moment to think about your data has either been ransomed. So in this case, it was ransomed. So it's either been ransomed or it's been taken off site or both. And now you're being asked to pay. I think the negotiations here started at like 1.7 million. You're being asked to pay all this money, or else they're going to release it, and your reputation is going to go down the toilet, basically, depending on how you handle it. It's a pretty scary situation to be in. So I thought it'd be just really, really kind of interesting to take a look at one of these. These get leaked online from time to time or posted online. And this site just puts them together and has a lot of, a lot of different organizations. I want to say they probably have 50 different organizational chats that they've collected from like Akira and other bad guy groups like that. So
cool. So I guess, how do you want to work this? You want me to kind of scroll down here and start kind of playing this out and explaining it?
Yeah. So if you scroll down, keep scrolling. So this was just the good guys are on the left and the bad guys are on the right. And the good guys on the left were basically, they were told they got a ransomware note.
Right. So this will be like, the way this plays out is there's going to be a note, either a text file left on the desktop. It could be an email. It could come in other ways, right? There are other ways that they can get these messages to you. If the README file doesn't get your attention, then they start reaching out other ways, right? Typically how it works. In that message is going to be a link. Typically, it's to a Tor site. I've seen it on the surface web. Typically, they want you to go to the dark web. That's a little bit of a process in itself. Mm-hmm. And you end up at this support chat, right?
Right.
So obviously they know you're there because you saw a message on your computer. So hello, I've seen your message that you left on our system. Hello, are you there? Right. So this is the person engaging, right? Hello, I've seen the message you left on our system. Hello, are you there? Right. And these are the hackers coming in. Oh, they got a little anonymous face. How cute. Right. So you reach Akira support chat. Currently, we are preparing the list of data we took from your network. For now, you have to know that dealing with us is the best possible way to settle this quick and cheap. Keep in touch and be patient with us. Do you have permission to conduct a negotiation on your behalf of the organization? Once we get a response, you will be provided with all the details.
So two things that hit me when I read this, Bryan, that are bizarre if you've never seen it or thought about it. One, this was probably a drop-down, pre-recorded, pre-written response, of which you're going to see several. So this is a customer service guy or girl on the other side who's got drop-downs to reply like automatically.
Or it's automated. I mean, it could be automated.
It could be. And then notice what they said, though. Do you have permission to conduct negotiation? Making sure that the right person's on the chat and the right person's on the room. How often have we heard that in our sales training? When you go make a presentation,
they don't want to be wasting their time talking to the tech guy who can't say anything, who can't negotiate anything. They've been doing this for a long time. They know and again, they don't want to be wasting time with anything. Like they probably are talking to 20 other companies.
Right. They got money to make out there.
Yeah. Not all of them are going to pay, and not all of them are going to get money out of, but they're talking to 20 companies. And they want to be talking to somebody who has authority to actually pay them and not some tech guy who's trying to get out of a jam.
Right.
So, yes, I have permission to handle this. Please wait for details. And then they send this RAR file, which is a compressed file that usually shows them a sample of the images that they have. Obviously, it's only 1.52 megabytes. So more than likely, it's going to be the directory listing of everything that they stole. So essentially, if you have like, a business shared drive or a place that you go to store all your company files, you're probably used to seeing like all the folders and stuff, and you're used to that familiar, like, okay, yeah, and you're going to see right away, boom, it's going to hit you. The psychological effect that has when you see essentially the folder structure that you're used to looking at every single day when you go to work is now in the hands of somebody else and they have a screenshot of it. This is where it starts.
Yeah, and what they're also doing here is they're establishing a certain level of credibility or a certain level of trust. So they're proving that they have, here's a list of files we stole, and then they're going to say in the next chat, they're going to say, pick a few out of that list, tell us what they are, and we'll unencrypt them and send them over to you unencrypted. So it's proof that they have the unencryption key. It's proof they actually have your files. And like you said, it is a little bit of a psyop as well.
Sure. Because they're saying, hey, here's the list. It's just a screenshot. Pick any 2 to 3 you want, and we're going to give you the file back as proof that we have all these files.
It's like if they kidnapped an actual person and then took their picture and sent it back to the good guys and said, here's proof that we've done that. That's literally why they call it ransomware. You know what I mean? So anyway.
And I don't know what this next one does, but this is more or less like the expert playing the novice, in my opinion. Prove that we can properly decrypt your data, give us 2 files to our chat, and we'll upload and decrypt the copies back. It doesn't mean they decrypted them. It means, if they give you back files, they could have just given you back the original files that they never encrypted in the first place.
Or more ransomware.
Right. Or back doors that you're now clicking on and installing for them. Who knows, right?
I know. You
start clicking on stuff from these guys, good luck. Like, the RAR file is password protected, cannot be extracted. Oh, geez, I hate when things don't go well. However, we do not agree to send anything from us back to you. In order to prove that you have the decryption key, you may send the key to us partially decrypted then.
This is where I thought that they must have had a professional negotiator. This sounds like a trick. Oh, yeah, here's the key. Let us decrypt a few files. Oops, it decrypts all of them. I feel like it was a trick to try to get the key out of them without having to pay anything.
So RAR password came through. You're like, okay, yeah, no, we'll just give you the password. You're not going to get a decryption key unless you pay.
Nice try.
So if you want to test the tool, send us a few non-significant files and do not complicate things. We are planning to do that. Could you let us know how to get those files safely while getting these files out? The correction to the above message is to planning to send you the files by tomorrow, as all the folders are found with Akira.txt.
So they renamed the folders to make it more confusing. And so the people are basically like, hey, everything's been renamed. How in the crap are we going to send you something if we don't know what's what?
So we'll wait, but speed things up. Hello, we've been trying to access the files on the list you provided, but it seems the machine is not bootable and corrupted. Could you suggest an alternative file list for decryption? Okay. So you're saying that they're working with a professional. This is where I get a little off of that, because I wouldn't be saying this.
Well, what I thought when they said this was I thought they were trying to get a little more out of the bad guys by saying, hey, it won't even boot. So how in the crap are we supposed to, give you what, you know what I mean? That's what I wondered.
You can give us any encrypted file for a test decryption and ask for any files from the list as proof. Okay, so they're still playing like, here's our process, follow our process, right? Stop trying to take us off our process and you follow our process, right? So
they sent several files over.
Files that are coming through.
Uh-huh.
And these are the image and bitmap files that are insignificant that they submitted.
So do the good guys at this point ever send malware to the bad guys at this point?
Shh. Please wait. Decrypted 7-zip, right? So this is all the files in a 7-zip file or zip file, file.
Sent back,
unencrypted, so they can open them, see them, saying please review. Files show the result correctly. Could you provide us the decrypted key? Oh my God! Like, wow. Okay. So, do you need files for proof? If you could give us, also let me know how to decrypt the rest of them. Give me a few past 2 files you want to see from the list. After payment, I'm actually surprised they're playing this game. After payment, you will get the tool that will decrypt your systems. Are we talking about the list you sent in the RAR file earlier? We believe that you have the list of all files in your possession, thus letting us know the information is necessary, as we unable to verify nothing much from our side as the files are encrypted.
That's a really good point. We can't read any. How do we even know this file list you sent's actually it? Anyway, I think they're either. If it seemed to me like they were either stalling or trying to get the guy to give them more information.
Because we're about 2-3 days into this, so this can't be going too, like, these guys can't be getting too
right.
As you can see, let's move to payment discussion. I'll let you know our demand shortly. Can you set evidence files for reviews? We will naturally progress to discussing terms. Okay, we'll send a few random files. We think the random files you sent us belong to us. What's next? So now they're convinced. Okay, you got our shit. We can proceed to payment options. I will let you know our demand shortly. Send details when ready. Wait a bit. So we've been through your files. This is so interesting, right?
I know.
We've gone through your files to define your financial abilities. We've been looking through your bank statements, your net income, your cyber liability limits, financial audits, and all the info that might help us calculate our demand to you. We are willing to set a $1.7 million price for all the services we offer. Hey, we're going to come in and be your cybersecurity experts now. Full decryption assistance, evidence of data removal, security report on the vulnerabilities we use to break into your network and do all this. Guarantees not to publish or sell your data. You're an idiot if you believe that. Guarantees to not attack you in the future. If you pay, I guarantee you're going to be attacked in the future. Mm-hmm. Let me know whether you are interested in a whole deal or in parts. This will affect the final price.
Let's see. I'll just take number 1 and number 5, please.
All right. So they got the request. They're surprised by the amount. Having said the analysis is on our financial data, as we're running a loss for several years, we sincerely hope to find a mutually understanding path forward. What a very interesting negotiating tactic. You have our P&Ls. We are running a loss. Well, guess what? These guys don't care how you run your business. If they see top line revenue at a certain number, you better find that profit somewhere. Yeah. Right? Because quite frankly, this is how it goes in the business world. Yeah. Right? Companies spend massive amounts of money on other stuff besides cybersecurity, and they run out of money. Right? They still operate, but they're not profitable. Right? There's a big difference. You can operate a business and be not profitable, have hundreds of employees, pay your employees, and still not make any money. You're just like a pass-through for cash at the end of the day, right? Yeah. And that's essentially what this company is admitting to. Like, hey, we don't have any extra cash laying around to pay you guys. But if these guys are looking at a pretty hefty top-line revenue, they don't give an F. They're going to tell you to go find the money. Yep. Go fire some employees. Go cut some expenses. We know you have the money somewhere. In case of quick payment, we'll be able to consider a discount. We are going to work with 7 figures, though.
Huh. Yeah, so this is where they basically said, we're not going below $1 million. Yeah. Right?
We would like to, I just said this, right? Well, we'd like to inform you our company doesn't have the means. We operate on a modest scale, and like you, we have to provide for our people, meaning we have to pay our employees that we don't want to fire, especially in the post-COVID era, because we got that earned income retention credit coming in that we don't want to lose. That's making your request most impossible for us. Like, these guys know you're taking an ERC. I'm sorry, right, Randy? Like, they know you're taking an ERC. They know what it is. They know businesses have been living off the government for the last 5 years, and they want a piece of it. We would like to have our data back to resume our services. We kindly request your understanding and consider the return of our data. We're open to discussing any views. If I'm a hacker, I'm sitting here reading this going, these guys don't have a fucking clue. We got them. And I'm staying at 1.7.
Well,
our request is quite
settle on.
What's that?
Wait till we get to what they finally settle on, then maybe you'll disagree.
Our request is quite possible for a company like yours. We both know this. If you need our decryption services only, we can end this incident at $1 million. Okay, but they're taking away the other services.
Right. The other services.
Right. We won't go lower. This is a good price for getting back to business. Right. We acknowledge the receipt of your message, understand the gravity of the situation. It's apparent that your communication that you believe our organization has the means to meet your demand. However, this assumption fails to reflect our current financial reality, blah, 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 right? Challenging circumstances, best effort over the past 5 years. Oh my God. We face significant financial hurdles. Like, unfortunately, your story doesn't line up with your financial statements, probably, right? Anything in here you want to discuss? I'm not going to read this whole thing.
But he said you're trying to squeeze blood out of a stone.
Yeah, they cry poor, right? I mean,
it is.
This ain't no different than the conversations I have on the front end when I'm telling people you got to do this for compliance reasons, and they're like, "Oh, why do we got to do all this?"
Yeah, we don't have the money.
Right. We greatly appreciate your understanding and kindly request that you consider restoring our data. Like, what do you have to offer? Right? We're getting tired of your BS. Like, what's your number? You have 24 hours to give us a number. If you stay silent, you're going to be outed.
So they must have waited a little bit between those messages.
We sincerely ask your understanding and a bit of additional time. We will respond back to you urgently, as stated earlier, blah, blah, blah. We can't and we won't wait forever. Still buying time. $20,000 settlement.
Yeah, so they did finally make an offer here of $20,000. Remember, the original was like 1.7 million or something like that. They came back and they were like, "We've scraped and looked, and we can do 20 grand."
Your company name is in our news column. If you want this post to be removed, we have to agree on something. So now they've outed them.
Yeah, so they've put it on their dark web.
Right. So the way this plays out on the dark web leak sites is they put the same screenshots that they showed them. They put those out first. They put a countdown timer up. They basically say, publicly, you have X amount of time before we start releasing these files. Sometimes they release them a bit at a time. Sometimes they release them all at once. It really just depends on how the negotiation goes down. We will never accept such a small amount. You're offering us 20K against $1 million. How do you think we'll be able to agree? We'll wait a bit more and we'll cancel the deal. There's nothing to talk about at the moment. Hello and good evening. Have you managed to raise a decent amount? Now we got a new person coming in, right? That's what happens.
Yeah, you're right.
You're right.
Wow.
So they got a new guy coming in. They probably actually hired somebody like us.
Yeah. This might be where they hired the person. Yeah.
And we know what we're doing and we know how to deal with these guys. So let's see how this goes. I was specifically appointed by the CEO to replace a colleague you were talking to, the IT guy, and take the issue forward. We understand the offer you made was not respectful in your review.
Not respectful.
That was good. That was good. He knows what he's dealing with. Having said that, a 7-figure sum is really beyond our possibilities. You are invited to look at our financial data to see for yourself. Interesting. Anyhow, we are willing to discuss your offer and build confidence in resolving the situation.
Oops, their spelling kind of sucks.
That just gives you a clue as to where this is at. We're happy that you understand the situation. Now, they realize they're dealing with a legit negotiator at this point, or somebody who
so give us a new
exchanging pleasantries.
Yeah.
Yeah. Post will be removed at their payment only. Long weekend holiday. Banks are closed. Once off the blog.
So he's saying, take the blog down. How does it actually help or hurt you to take it down?
No, they're not going to remove it just because you ask. Like this, like I'm more I read, the less and less I'm thinking this is a professional. This is just somebody else or the CEO.
Well, when you get to the bottom line, which it's coming here in a minute, it is significantly less than the original millions.
Right. But I said if I'm the attackers, I'm not going less. Right.
Yeah.
They may be just going less because this is dragging on so long. And like they're not really spending a lot of time here.
Yeah, maybe that was their strategy.
I wouldn't be this. I would be more annoying if I was the negotiator. I wouldn't be coming back. I would be making them spend more time and wearing them down versus what I'm seeing here. They're not wearing them down. Like the person who got attacked is being worn down, in my opinion.
Yep.
So maybe there's a cultural difference. Okay, I wouldn't bring that up. By not making this a very small step, blah, 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 see it in your eyes. Anyhow, as I told you, full availability of management and bank opening in 5 days. Full availability of management, that's BS. Like, you're under attack. Like, you have everyone's attention. Asking you to reconsider. Boom, right away. What did I tell you? I said I wouldn't have mentioned that. And boom, they come right back with it. Yeah, because you are going to piss them off when you say stuff like that. It's just the way business works. You are offering us pennies, and we're warned about publication. This is getting really bad. So cultural differences are built in. Wow, wow, okay.
So they're about to counteroffer here, and
the spelling is really bad.
It is. So maybe this is not English first, but English is the language of business, on the internet. So, so they do come back. They do offer a lot of this back and forth, and they do settle at, I think it's 225,000. A couple more threats to make it bigger if they don't hurry up and get the money over to them, but they eventually do pay them out. They send them.
It sounds like
$1,000.
They're mentioning that you think we're part of a bigger company, but we're not, right? That happens a lot where hackers think they have a bigger company and they have a partner or somebody who's doing work for that company. It's happened with like Apple suppliers and stuff like that.
He said, looking forward to finalizing a deal.
Right. Standing by. 110,000. That's a significant jump from 20.
It is.
So I think what's going on here, Randy, honestly, I've seen this before. I think they're realizing that this company really has no money. Right. They're like, okay, we see their financials. They pull in a lot of top line, but they really probably don't have a lot of money. Right. So to go from 20 to 110, now we're at 650. So they're saying 650 is still too much.
Yeah, and he's telling them to Google them. At one point, he says, you have our encrypted spreadsheet of our finances. Look on line B, column 2.
Yeah.
You can see. Oh, yeah, he's fixing to do that here in a minute. Upload your report.
Yeah. So now you're uploading more shit to them, which is dumb.
And they brought it down to 590.
But look at like you're desperate, right? I mean, you're really trying to save your ass here, and now you're willing to upload more shit to these people. Now they're starting to remove the post to kind of show them, to kind of say like, hey, we're playing nice here. Now we need you to play nice. Look, the difference between taking something down off the dark web and paying the amount of money we're talking to aren't even in the same stratosphere, right? Their good gesture is just, now you're caught up in the situation, right? And that's what they want. They want you caught up in the situation. They want you thinking, oh, we're here to work with you. We're the nice guys, right? Well, now they got you, right? They've done something so humanly pathetic to a company by attacking them in this way, right, Randy? And then now they turned around and oh, look at us. We're such nice guys. We took down the dark web post, right, to continue this negotiation. That's how they got paid, right? Because they've done this, and that's why they're very good at it. Oh, look, thank you for moving for the post. We love you. As for the numbers, sorry, but it's not even close to our abilities. You are invited to see for yourself. Please look at line 21 at the top, right? Balance sheet, JPEG. They don't believe them. They don't believe them. It's a trick. Verified signed documents. Wow. They wanted stuff from an accountant. They didn't want screenshots. They don't have a real picture of your savings, your investment, your net assets.
Wow. So they apparently they didn't know all that in advance.
Well, they don't know, like, you know what? Based on what I'm seeing here, I think these guys think exactly what I'm thinking, that they're dealing with the CEO directly. And they're saying to him directly, we don't know what kind of savings you have, what kind of other investments you have, and what kind of other net assets you have outside of the business. So while this thing that we attacked may be losing money, we don't know what you have over here. And we want what's over there. That's what's going on here. So they're saying it's not a trick. Now we're down to 350. Going to go back. Let me know. Trying to raise the funds.
Yep.
So they're scraping finances together at 180.
180,000. And I thought they had cyber insurance.
I don't know. I don't remember.
The bad guys mentioned that up front. Maybe that was
maybe
a generic pre-typed out response.
Maybe they don't want to file a claim. Who knows? The lowest number we can accept is 250. Oh, this is going to go down. As soon as he said this, you knew this was all good. The boss approved the deal. Because the boss, you're talking to the boss. You're chatting.
You think so?
100%.
Wow.
Right here. Right here.
Interesting.
This one. 250 for a full package decryption data deletion, right? Yes. Yeah.
The full package.
Yeah. What happens next? And then this. Got it. Boss approved the deal. We need to know to better understand how this works. I understand you want the payment first, and then you provide the decryptor. Would that be right? Yeah. So he probably got the IT guy back in as well, would be my guess.
Here's where they say we value our reputation and we always decrypt after you give us the money. They're not going to work with a third party because that increases their chance of getting caught. And then there's some back and forth here about we got a long weekend coming up. We can't get to the banks, blah, blah, blah. Bitcoin takes forever.
They want their fees included. Oh, Jesus. Come on, mates. There's no payment by the weekend. We'll have to raise the price to $275 on Monday. $250.
So he did ask, can the money include the fees?
I know. It's just mind-boggling to me. Like this goes to show you these people have no clue. I mean, that would have been part of what we would be talking to these people about is like, yeah, you're going to have fees too. Right.
Except they did talk them down to $250,000. And so maybe that ineptitude is on
Bro,
purpose.
this is a really bad negotiation, in my opinion. This is like, we are so poor. Like, please don't do this to us.
But they got it down to like 1/7 of the original price.
Yeah, but that's common.
I thought this was funny. So they send over $1,000 just to test it. And then when they verify it, which, maybe was the next morning because we're talking different time zones, the Bitcoin had grown to being worth $1,030. So they had less money they had to send them after that. And look at that. Didn't think a seasoned businessman like you would say otherwise. Here, I don't understand this part. He's talking to him like, hey, in Russian, blah, blah, blah. And he says all this stuff. What's he trying to do here? Is he trying to build a relationship with this guy?
What does that word mean?
I'm not sure. Put something about a seasoned businessman. But the bad guys don't really respond here.
Doesn't mean anything. Weird.
And then he keeps trying to offer USDT. I wonder why. Is that more traceable or something? Or is that just ineptitude?
I don't know. I would think it's ineptitude.
Huh.
Okay, so they paid. They got the locker. IT guys having a problem. Sent them the wrong decryptor.
Sent the wrong one. Let me send the right one.
Happens, but not normal, but it does happen.
So the unlocker worked.
Did you see this one?
What?
They changed the password to their VMware.
Changed the root to their ESXi server?
To their VMware.
Oh my gosh.
And they want the new password. Wow, they did change the password. They gave it to them. Oh my God. Yikes. So they probably had the vulnerability. It was.
Wow, check it out. They told them how they got it in, how they got in.
So they purchased they purchased it on the dark web, meaning somebody was already in there. And
they got the password hashes.
And then they essentially were able to basically use techniques to steal passwords that were being transmitted through their network. I mean, they just brute forced those passwords, got the domain admin password, and they spent weeks inside the network, and they managed to detect some fails we highly recommend to eliminate. And here's a list of stuff. None of your employees should open suspicious emails or links or must run them on their computer. Use strong passwords. Right? Passwords should not match or be repeated on different resources. I went off on that in the beginning of the show about password managers. Number 3, install 2FA. Right? Use the latest versions of operating systems or less vulnerable attacks. Right? Their VMware ESXi was clearly not that, and they were able to take it over. Update all software versions. Use antivirus solutions and traffic monitoring tools, because that's how we were able to start stealing your passwords before we got the admin password done.
Yep.
Create a jump host for your VPN. Use unique credentials on that to differ from domain ones, right? Don't use your domain credentials to log in. Yes, it makes it more difficult for your users, but it also makes it more difficult for these guys, right? Use backup software with cloud storage, which supports a token. Instruct your employees as often as possible about online safe precautions, right? So essentially, one of your employees clicked on something we sent, one of our affiliates sent to them. They got it. They got in initially, and then we got in and did the rest.
They did guarantee they're going to keep the conversation private. Oops, it got leaked.
Wow. Also, your breach report looks generic, not specific to us. Bro, like, again, this is so like right here, right? This statement right here, depending on who wrote it, right? That's either an IT guy that needs to get fired because he doesn't understand the gravity of the situation and doesn't understand any of this at all. It's like talking to like half the people in 7-figure MSP. Like, that is generic. That is not generic. Like, what they told you is exactly how they got in. Like, if you do these 9 things, we're not going to be able to do what we did. Except you look at these things and you go, they're generic. Well, are you doing all of these things? No, you're not. Mm-hmm. So it's not generic. You're just being a jerk, right? Because you got took. Also, the root password, like, but you know what, Randy? I go and tell them the same thing on the front end and say, if you don't do this stuff, you're going to get hacked, and I get the same.
Exactly.
Right. So
exactly.
Also, the root password you provided earlier didn't work. Man, funny, right? Try this one. Now we're going back and forth because we don't know what we changed the password to.
And that's
it. That was interesting, dude. Very, very insightful. Took us a while to get through it. You know, it seems like some people stuck with us through it. But very interesting ransomware negotiation. You know, I appreciate you bringing it to the show and allowing me to go through it and provide my insight and expertise around this stuff. But yeah, wow. I mean, if anything shows you businesses are ill prepared for what they're dealing with out there.
Yes.
Go read a few of these.
Yes.
Because this is just one of thousands, right?
Right.
Available on this particular resource.
There's a ton on there. And this one was from like May. So it's only just a few months ago.
Well, I could tell because I know the group that I know the group that is chatting based on what they've said. So because I know the attack vectors they use and how they do it. So
all right.
Very good stuff, man. I like it. It's good. Makes me think.
I know it's pretty mind blowing.
So we got a comment in the thing. You want to entertain that, or is it? I don't understand what they're saying. So
I wasn't sure either. So
okay, I'm not going to touch it. All right. So appreciate the support, everyone. Hey, we got a buy me a coffee link up top there. If you learned anything, if you're enjoyed the show at all, we don't do ads, we don't do commercials. But if you want to buy Randy and our coffee, there's the link. We appreciate it. Share this show with your friends and family if they want to learn more about this stuff. And leave us a comment and hit that like or subscribe button if you're consuming us on the YouTubes or the podcast station. Otherwise, we'll see you on your favorite social media platform. And Randy and I'll see you next week. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.